Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, Howard Blend, and welcome to Howard's Blend. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Howard's Blend plant-based protein with 20 grams of protein per serving to help aid in recovery from life's ups and downs. The protein powder is available right now on my website, www.howardsblend.com, just like the podcast, HOWARDSBLEND.com. There are two sizes available. I think it's 30 gram? Yeah, 30 gram sample serving size, and the big dog, the 1 pound 15 serving size. So if you're looking to try a plant-based protein powder, or you're currently using one and you want to switch, you're thinking about switching, head on over to the website right now and pick you up some. I'll be forever grateful. Thank you very much. In this episode of Howard's Blend, well, oakley dokley, folks, welcome back to the Batcave Studio. It has been a bit. The last two episodes on transparency, one of my values, and on the price of the SMB Nutrition t-shirt, the video version of it did not have me in it in the wonderful Batcave Studio. I know, all you ladies were very, very concerned. You're like, oh, where's Howard? I want to see Howard's beautiful face. Well, do not fret, I am back. So, that's a good thing. What are we talking about today? We're going back to supplements, folks. Supplements. Love talking about supplements. Specifically, proprietary blends, or as you hear sometimes, prop blends. What are proprietary blends? Some of you might be asking. Well, do not worry. We'll be going over that in this episode. However, there is some prerequisite information that I feel needs to be discussed first before going into proprietary blends specifically. So, at times you may be thinking like, Howard, WTH, like what the heck are you talking about here? This has nothing to do with proprietary blends, but do not worry. To me, at least, it all comes around full circle and it ties into proprietary blends. So, at least it does in my mind. So, now I'm going to do my best. I read through the documentation from the FDA to go over this. 3 pages of notes right here. And for the most part, I think that I have the information correct. Although I'm not an expert on the FDA. I'm not a consultant or anything like that. So I did my best to try to go through the information and make heads or tails of it. So I think I got it correct. But let's go ahead and start. So to start with, we're going to go back over DSHEA. So those of you who listened to or watched the episode on dietary supplement labeling, first of all, thank you very much. I always appreciate anybody that listens and or watches the podcast. The video version of the podcast is available on my YouTube channel, just Howard Blend. It's in the description of the show. My earbuds aren't working there. But DSHEA, so the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, and now my mind is gone blank. Is it 1992? I'm thinking it's either 1992 or 1994, which probably means it's 1993, because I get it wrong. But there were a myriad of policies that were put into place as a result of that law passing. And we talked about some of those in the dietary supplement labeling episode. There are two, reading through the documentation, that I think tie in. One directly, another one, and I think it ties in some way to proprietary blends that we're going to talk about here briefly. So the first one, after the passage of DSHEA, a dietary supplement had to have all of its ingredients on the facts label listed along with the amount of that ingredient per serving. So before DSHEA, the only ingredients that had to be listed on the facts label along with the amount of the ingredient were ingredients that had an RDA with it, a recommended daily allowance. So the example provided in the documentation is calcium. So I'm going to use, I have some cognitive supplement and a pre-workout here to my right that we're going to use on the video, and I'll explain it for the podcast people. But for the most part, Proprietary Blends, I've seen it in pre-workouts. But let's just say there's a pre-workout with calcium in it, whatever. So before DSHEA, then it would have calcium, and it would say like 1,000 milligrams per serving or something. But if it also had beta-alanine, the beta-alanine could be listed, but you didn't have to put how much beta-alanine is in the product per serving, like per scoop or 2 scoops, whatever the serving size is. After DSHEA, even if the ingredient doesn't have an RDA, beta-alanine, L-citrulline, those are the ones we talked about, or citrulline malate, depending on how it's listed and how it's produced. Even if it doesn't have an RDA, you still have to list how much of that ingredient is in the product per serving. So that's one change. And you're going to see here, I'm going to say it again, how that relates to Proprietary Blends. The second change, which I think it relates, but not as clearly, is the creation of the supplement facts panel on the label. So the FDA did this as a result of DSHEA. So just one second here. Let me show you these boxes and products. All right, here for the video, you'll be able to see it. I'm going to tell it for the podcast. It's a box of Cheerios. So this is a food. All right, my son, he somewhat seems to like Cheerios. I give them to him as a snack. I'm going to put the facts panel to the camera so people will be able to see it. Podcast people, it says at the top, nutrition facts. If you go into your kitchen and grab any box of cereal, chips, whatever, and you look at the top of the label where it lists like the calories, fat, grams, cholesterol, vitamins, minerals. If it's a food, it'll say nutrition facts. This, pardon me one second. It's early in the morning here, folks, so I'm not used to recording this early in the morning, so I'm still really tired. This supplement called In Focus, it's for cognitive, well, it actually says it on it, cognitive enhancer. It's from BPN, Bear Performance Nutrition, great company. They make really good products. They're actually in Austin, which is about 350 or so miles south of me. I think they're actually in Round Rock, which is a little bit north of Austin. But good stuff. On the label here, I'll show it in the camera, supplement facts. So the FDA, as a result of the passage of DSHEA, said, okay, we're going to have supplements, we'll have supplement facts, food will have nutrition facts. Now, my protein powder, Howard's Blend plant-based protein powder, has a supplement facts label. Other protein powders can have a nutrition facts label. So again, those are just kind of a brief explanation of two provisions in DSHEA that I think relate to Proprietary Blends. All right, so I mentioned it just now, describing those two provisions. RDA, recommended daily allowance. Now, I don't see RDA being used much anymore. I do not know if it's still in effect. What I do see, and what I read while doing the research for the show, is the RDI and the DRV. So again, RDA still may be around. I just don't see it as much. I was seeing a lot of RDI and DRV. What is RDI and what is DRV? RDI is the recommended daily intake, and the DRV is the daily reference value. I always get those mixed up. Recommended daily intake, daily reference value. And for those watching, you see that I keep moving my feet because if I stand still, I don't know, I just get restless leg or something. I always got to keep moving my legs back and forth and shifting my weight. So that's why I keep doing that. People watch are like, why the hell is he moving around so much? Just the way it is, folks. But yeah, so what are RDI and DRV? What are they? So the definition, when I was able to gather, is pretty much the same for the both of them. Right? It's basically a way for consumers to quantify how much of a particular nutrient is in a food product. All right. Now, what they measure, the nutrients that they measure, or they refer to, I should say, not really measure, but the nutrients that the RDI and the DRV refer to are different. So the definition's the same, but the nutrients they cover are different. So I'm going to get my notes just to make sure I cover all of them here. Yeah, so DRV, the daily reference value, refers to total fat, saturated fat, cholesterol, total carbohydrate, dietary fiber, sodium, potassium, and protein. I don't know if that's an exhaustive list. That was just what was in the documentation. So for the most part, it's macronutrients. I mean, I know like cholesterol is not a macronutrient. Sodium, potassium is not a macronutrient. But for the most part, it's macronutrients. Daily reference value. Now the reference daily intake, yeah, that was it, is vitamins and minerals. Now there is an exception with the reference daily intake. It does also refer to protein, which I just said DRV does, but it's protein for children under the age of 4, pregnant and lactating women. So going back to the definition, I forgot to mention this. The RDI and the DRV, they're set for adults down to children over the age of 4. That's kind of the age range that is covered with the RDI and the DRV. So again, those are established just to give people an idea, and as I say, quantify, because you can see how much of a particular nutrient is in a food, like the Cheerios, which I'll show you here in a minute. It's got this percentage of this particular macronutrient for your nutrient requirements, your nutrition requirements. So, RDI, DRV. So based on what I read and kind of reading between the lines, it seems like the FDA was like, okay, well, this can be confusing putting this on a label. We have DRV of total fat, DRV of cholesterol, DRV of sodium, but then all of a sudden it's like RDI of calcium, RDI of potassium. Was potassium? Potassium's DRV, sorry. RDI of like iron or something like that. That can be confusing. So as a result, the FDA said, all right, on a label, we're going to use daily value. So you will see it, and I'll show you here in a second. It'll say DV, like percent DV, percentage of the daily value, or percent daily value. It'll have it actually spelled out. So on the label, instead of using RDI, DRV, it uses the percent of the daily value to try to make it easy for people to understand when looking at a label. So here I'll show you. And explain it for people listening. So I'm going to show you the label here. All right, for people listening, so if you look at it like a box, like I mentioned earlier, like a bag of chips, box of cereal, bag of cookies, whatever, you're going to have like the amount, like how big a serving size is, how many servings are in the container. They don't have like calories. They don't list fat. It'll go through like fat, cholesterol, carbohydrates, sugar, all that basic stuff. showing the camera, all that at the top where it goes through like calories, fat, cholesterol, total sugars, etc., protein. That's basically the DRV right there. For the most part, for all intents and purposes, it's the DRV. Underneath that, you're going to have the vitamins and minerals listed there. That's, in essence, the RDI. Now, looking at this box of Cheerios, maybe a little bit hard to see, so I'm going to try to get as close as I can to the camera. Hopefully the camera focuses. Hopefully you can see that, but it says percent. Uh-oh, my zoom just fell. 1 second, folks. I'm dropping everything. 1 second, folks. All right, pardon me. I think I had the earbuds stretched to the limit. It was taut, and then I moved my head, and then I'm knocking down everything. This is what happens when you record in the closet. It sounds great, because you don't have reverberation, but yet you're dropping everything. I think I pulled the Zoom recorder off the little shoebox that I have it sitting on because I pulled the earbuds taut. But yeah, back to this. So it says, percent DV. So that's the percent daily value. So again, the RDA. The FDA, from what I read, basically created this percent daily value to make it easier, more understandable, instead of saying, oh, well, you have DRV and then RDI, and people are like, why are things listed differently here? Why you have two different terms? I was going to show you the cognitive enhancer, but man, it says percent daily value. I don't know if you can, boy, that may be hard to see. I can barely read that. I've got prescription reading glasses on the way, along with the blue light blocking technology, since I look at computers all the time. Yeah, this one, it says percent DV. It's the font's a little bit bigger. Now, a little something else here that I want to tell you reading through this information. So I'm pointing this to the camera. You have the calories here in a particular font. You have this underneath where it lists calories. You have this large line, this pretty line with a good thickness on it. And then you have all these, all the macronutrients basically listed, another thick line, and then all the vitamins and minerals. The FDA has policies on how everything on this is laid out. All right. I believe in the resources of the show, I have a link to the CFR, and I don't remember it offhand. Note to Howard, I have it in my notes. I don't have it printed out. I actually have the particular provision that all this is going over in my notes, and if I remember, which is why I'm telling myself now in this recording, put it in the notes. But all this is regulated by the FDA. Even the order in which the vitamins and minerals are listed, what was the term I just used? Regulated. All regulated by the FDA. Calcium, which is the second one, it has to go before a particular vitamin or mineral, and then after. It was this huge long document that it refers to other documents, and it's federal government, folks, so it's always confusing. I just thought that was interesting. Now, going back to the very beginning of the episode where I talked about DSHEA and how with the passage of DSHEA, even ingredients that do not have an RDA, we're going to use the RDA term, or RDI, whichever, or DRV if it's a macronutrient, for more or less, have to be listed on the label along with their amount. This is Dr. Jekyll. It's a stimulant-free pre-workout. It's by ProSups, I think it's ProSups. I got this like at Walmart or something just to pick it up to show it to y'all. In fact, I was looking at it, strangely enough, their office where the hell was it? It was on here. It was listed on here. I saw it the other day and I was like, well, wait a second. Oh, well, I can't find it now. But it says their office is like maybe a 10, 15-minute drive south of here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Jeez Louise. 1 second, the dang Zoom fell off again. See, I have it sitting on the box that it comes in. This is like the carrying case and everything. I have it sitting there, but I guess it makes it, the box is not flat. It has like a little bit of a curve to it, so it keeps sliding off. 1 second. See, this is what you have to deal with when you record in the closet, peeps. Yeah, I wanted to grab this again. So, yeah, they're down the street by where the Dallas Cowboys practice facility is at the Ford, I think it's the Ford Stadium or Ford Center or whatever. So something I want to tell you with the percent daily value. So as I just said, DSHEA, even ingredients that do not have an RDA have to be listed on the label along with their amount. Even, pardon me, I just said that. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up here. I've got so many boxes and containers, I'm confusing myself. So if we look at the box of Cheerios, and it says total fat, and then the percent daily value of just the Cheerios alone is 3%. All right. And then you have with skim milk, and then you have for ages 1 to 3, it changes because of nutrition requirements for younger children. But then for beta-alanine, which is on this supplement, it's got a beta-alanine, which we talked about before. It's got 1.6 grams per serving. The percent daily value is a couple of asterisks right there. I don't know if you can see that. In focus, it has choline, alpha size, it's got a whole bunch of different ingredients, caffeine, etc. The percent daily value, not of choline, but it's like I don't know what that's called, like a cross. I don't know, it's got like a little cross. The FDA, and in the documentation and the resources, it'll have it there. If there's an item that there's no RDI, no RDA, no DRV established for it, and it's on the label and you have the amount, then you have to, for the percent daily value, you have to put like that placeholder. You have to put like a little asterisk or the cross. And then underneath the supplement facts, you have to put that the daily value is not established. I should have showed you that 1 second. Yeah, so at the bottom of the supplement facts, at the bottom of the other ingredients, all that stuff, it's in the supplement facts, It says it has the asterisk, is it asterisk or asterisk? Daily value not established. I'm telling you that because that's another thing that's mandated by the FDA. If there's no percentage of nutrient requirement for that particular nutrient, then you have to put that little placeholder, and then at the bottom you have to put like a little legend saying daily value is not established. That's why it's got the asterisk and the cross, or the cross. So how does this all relate to proprietary blends? Well, since dietary supplement ingredients that have no RDA need to be listed with their amounts, one of the provisions, and it's going to be in the resources that I provide, the FDA allows what's called a proprietary blend. So what's a proprietary blend? This is what you're all waiting for, and this is 26 minutes into it. Good things come to those who wait, I guess. A proprietary blend, in my words, I'll use my words, is basically a mixture or blend of different ingredients into like one blend. I mean, for lack of a better term, I'm just trying to think of this off the top of my head here to explain it. So, per the FDA regulations, proprietary blend can be called proprietary blend, or other fanciful name is the term they give to it. I'll show you here. This is a proprietary blend, one form of proprietary blend. Performance matrix, cognitive drive matrix, adaptogenic matrix. Performance matrix is a fanciful name. It's just a way for marketing. That's all it is. It just makes it sound sexier. I'm not knocking ProSubs. I'm not knocking this Dr. Jekyll product. It's the way it is. It's marketing. I mean, it's what I'm going through right now, trying to learn to market Howard's Blend plant-based protein powder. You could have the greatest supplement in the world, but if you don't know how to market and you can't reach out to the people to buy it and to know about it, well, then it's not really doing much good. So Performance Matrix, that is a proprietary blend. Now, this is one form of proprietary blend. This product in particular actually lists the ingredients in it. So there's beta-alanine, creatine, all this other stuff like here. Inositol, I think is how it's pronounced. Looks like it's some sort of, pump enhancer. It's got arginine in it. Could be. I don't know. Never heard of that product before. Looks like it's a trademark, possibly, patented ingredient. But it's got these 3 ingredients in it. And then out to the right, it lists how much of each ingredient is in this blend per serving. So the blend itself, Performance Blend, has, and hopefully this is coming up on the camera here, the Performance Blend has 3.9 grams. So the serving size is 8.1 grams. So out of that 8.1 grams, 3.9 is this Performance Matrix, which of that, beta-alanine is 1.6 grams, creatine 1.5, and then this Noviel, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right, is 800 milligrams. And then the daily value is asterisk because there's no daily value established. So this is one form of proprietary blend. The only reason why they have this proprietary blend is marketing. It's when you look at the label like, ooh, Performance Matrix, that sounds like it'll help me. Let me get it. That's the only reason why it's marketing. Another form of proprietary blend, one that if you listen to a supplement show, I listen to supplement podcasts, whatever, if you hear about proprietary blends and you hear something possibly negative about it, it's usually what you're going to hear is negative about proprietary blends. It's going to be this. And I have to be very careful because I forgot to take the whiteboard out before recording. I did not want to bash my head into the microphone. I need to get a new earbuds with a longer cable. I'm going to have to back up here maybe to show you because there's just not a lot of room in here. Should have planned better for this. Hopefully you can see this, folks. So we have supplement facts at the top, serving size, servings per container. I was thinking of printing off like a label that I found on like Google Images or something like that, but I decided just to write it out because I didn't know how big the font was going to be on the printout. And then you have calories, fat, the DRV, what I talked about earlier. percent daily value over to the right. Sorry, some of the writing got smudged off. So at the bottom is what I wanted to talk about, the very bottom, the prop blend, proprietary blend. Prop blend or fanciful name. Again, the FDA and the provisions, it says you can call it proprietary blend or fanciful name. Fanciful name is what I talked about earlier, that, what was it, performance matrix, adaptogenic matrix. That's a fanciful name. So I have 5 grams listed under it. That's just a number I pulled out of a hat. It can be different. I think that one was like 3.9 grams, the one I listed or put up to the camera. Now the 5 grams, just because I was losing real estate on the whiteboard, it's to the right, just like on the bottle of the other pre-workout. It's to the right, all the way to the right, from the name of the proprietary blend, either prop blend or the fanciful name. And then you have underneath it in a linear fashion, so linear being like left to right, it's going to list the ingredients in that prop blend. So I just made these up off the top of my head. It's nothing that is, far as I know, it's not, performance enhancing or anything like that. L-arginine, saw palmetto, beta-alanine, green tea extract, blah, 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 blah. So there, I got to talk to the microphone. So there's a difference. On this proprietary blend, it gives the name, we could even call it performance matrix like the other one. Who cares? And then to the right, it has the amount. I just said 5 grams in this. Doesn't really matter. It could be 2 grams. Underneath it, it's going to list each ingredient one after the other in a linear fashion. The issue is it's not listing the amount for each ingredient. You're only getting the amount of the entire blend together. You're not getting the amount of each ingredient involved or included. So, hopefully you were able to see that. So pretend like all it's doing is saying performance matrix 3.9 grams. And instead of beta-alanine, creatine, all these ingredients listed in a column fashion, if it's in a column fashion, then you have to put the amounts to the right. This is per the FDA. If it's in a linear fashion, like on the whiteboard, it would be beta-alanine, then comma, creatine, then comma, this NolVL. I need to look that up. That kind of sounds interesting name. I'll look that up. If it was listed in a linear fashion, you don't have to put the amount per ingredient. So those are 2 types of prop blends, but for the most part, if somebody's talking about a prop blend, they're going to be talking about the linear fashion. Because, I don't know how much beta-alanine is in that 3.9 grams. I don't know how much creatine is in that 3.9 grams. That's what's talked about. I would say 99.999% of the time, if you hear somebody going off about prop blends, that's what they're talking about. It's in a linear fashion, so you don't know how much of each ingredient is in that blend. If you think about it, it's like, the FDA said for each ingredient, even if there's no RDA for it, you have to list the amount of that. So in essence, the prop blend is considered one ingredient because it's a blend of different ingredients to make one. And so the FDA says, okay, you only have to put the amount of the prop blend. This supplement here, this Dr. Jekyll, they don't have to list how much beta-alanine, how much creatine is in that prop blend. They could have just listed in a linear fashion and just said 3.9 grams. That's it. You don't know how much beta-alanine, you don't know how much creatine's in there. This goes back to what I talked about in the episode on transparency, which is a podcast. It's also an Instagram Live. And the video version of the podcast is available on my YouTube channel. Roughly maybe 7 years ago, I think it was around maybe 2014, maybe a little bit earlier than that, supplement companies started saying, hey, we want to be more transparent with our customers. We don't want to use prop blends. There's still plenty of companies that use proprietary blends, and I'm going to talk about that in the summary. They still use proprietary blends, all right? But other companies started to become more transparent, saying, hey, we're not going to hide behind, or that's the term they use, hide behind a proprietary blend. We're going to be completely transparent. We're going to tell you how much of each ingredient is in the blend, if we use a blend. All right, I had to check the time there. All right, so now we come to the summary. So I've explained what prop blends are. Hopefully you understand it. I guess really, more truthfully, hopefully I explained it well. So my thoughts. Are proprietary blends bad? Well, not inherently. They're not inherently bad, in my opinion. It depends, all right? If you own or if you use a product from a small company like SMB Nutrition, my company, Howard's Blend plant-based protein powder, that's our only product. That business, SMB Nutrition, if you buy a product, first, thank you very much. I always appreciate it. One, I'll be sending it to you, me personally. It's just me. That's it. I am the marketing. I am the bookkeeping. I do everything. It's just me. So I'm a small business. So if I was to do a pre-workout, let's say, and trying to make up a formula, whatever for that product, I have to take that into consideration that I'm a small business. I don't have a lot of money. I mentioned in this one on supplement manufacturing, I believe my thoughts on supplement manufacturing. The product that the Howard's Blend plant-based protein powder, the one that I originally formulated and wanted to use, it was going to be over $50,000 for 1,000 units. That is a boatload of money. I don't have that money. It's right now, I'm not available to get a business loan because I don't have business experience. I've barely been selling the product for a few months, so I don't have records to show a bank or a lender like, hey, this is how much I'm making, like profit and loss and everything. I don't have that. So, and I don't know about marketing. So to me, it didn't really make sense to try to go get a loan for tens of thousands of dollars when I don't even know how to market the product. And with supplements, there's an expiration date. So if you're a small company and you're wanting just to get your foot in the door and you're like, okay, we want to sell pre-workout, which I think I brought up before. I've had people from manufacturers, consultants, stuff tell me, Howard, you probably don't want to start with the protein powder. You want to start with the pre-workout because they sell better. And pre-workouts, you get higher margins than you would protein powder, most part because protein powder's heavier. It costs more to ship the product. But if you're a small company, more likely you're going to be starting with the pre-workout because those sell well. Again, higher margins. And if you have a pre-workout that uses a proprietary blend like the one I described, the second one, the linear fashion, okay, I understand that. It's a cheaper product. Okay, more than likely, it's going to be a cheaper product to manufacture, and then you can get higher margins by selling it. But my point is, if you're a small company and you're selling these products, the pre-workout, for example, with proprietary blend, even if it's underdosed, but you're using the profits that you make from that to grow, to ultimately formulate a better pre-workout, I'm in the same boat as you folks, that anybody that's in that position. I'm trying to scale the company right now. I understand it takes a lot of money. Supplement business, creating supplement, it's not cheap. It's extremely expensive. Add to the fact that once you order it, you only have a limited amount of time to sell it before it expires, and then you legally can't sell it, then you're out the money. I mean, if you go and order 10,000 t-shirts, well, you could sell those t-shirts 5 years from now. It doesn't really matter. There's no expiration, and you don't have to deal with the FDA. Supplement, you have, 2 years to sell it, and then you're SOL. But to me, I don't really have a problem with a smaller company using a proprietary blend, even if the ingredients are underdosed. All right, in the business, if you get in the business, you talk to people, you hear the term pixie dusting. I think that's from Tinkerbell, whatever. Tinkerbell from Peter Pan, where she puts the pixie dust on their head and they can fly. I don't know. It's been forever since I've seen Peter Pan. But pixie dust, it means they basically just sprinkle. It's kind of it's referring to. They sprinkle a little bit of an ingredient in there, and because they just pixie dusted it into the product, they can then put on the label that, hey, it's got this ultimate fat burner in it, even though it's not in a clinical dosage, and it's not really going to have more than likely it's not going to have the effect that the consumer's looking for because it's not in the correct dosage. But because it's got a tiny little amount in it, the company can market it and say, oh, we've got this fat burner RX in the product. And the proprietary blends, there's good and bad to it, the proprietary blends, as I mentioned before. You will hear on the supplement company side that, well, we use a proprietary blend because we want to protect, and I've heard this term, the integrity of the formula. We don't want somebody copying our formula and then they come out with a product that's a lot cheaper. They have lower costs than expenses than our company. They're going to copy our formula. They're going to undersell us, and then we go out of business. Okay, I see that. All right, I understand that. And, I appreciate that argument. But on the other hand, I don't know if it's feasible or not, but there's so much testing that can be done now on products. If somebody really wanted to copy it, I would think they'd be able to take a sample of your product, take it to a lab. If they have enough money to spend, they could reverse engineer it and see exactly what it's made of. Now, I tried that. I've looked into that before, not with another person's product, with my product, and it's expensive to do that, to get a breakdown of like what's actually in the product, like to reverse engineer it. It's really expensive, but if somebody really wanted to do it, they could do it. Again, I don't know the complete capabilities of all the lab testing. I'm not in that field. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, somebody could probably get a lab test done to see what's actually in your product if they really wanted to copy it. So that's kind of like the pro side of a proprietary blend, specifically the one we talked about where it's listed in a linear fashion. On the con side, people will say, well, you're just doing that because you're just making a prop blend because you can pixie dust the ingredients in there. You can use well under or little under, whatever the clinical dosage amount, whatever is the minimal dosage to elicit a response based on clinical studies. You're underdosing it essentially to lower your production costs. But since you have that ingredient in there, even though it's underdosed, you can slap it on the label that you have it and then use that for marketing. You can jack up the price and then make huge profits, even though your supplement is not really helping anybody because it's underdosed. That's a con. What is it? Carnosine. Carnosine beta-alanine. So we were talking about that before. Carnosine is a patented, trademarked version of beta-alanine. It's more expensive to put that into a product than your just generic beta-alanine because it is a patented trademark version. You have to pay more for that. So I've seen it on labels where supplement companies will put it in a prop blend, and then you look at the amount. Like I said in the description, you have the name of the prop blend, then over to the right, it'll say how much weight per serving that prop blend is. 3.9 grams, like the one we just looked at. And then the beta, and there's like, okay, well, it's 3.9 grams with all these ingredients, or maybe let's just make it more, let's say it's 3 grams, okay, just to make it easier. It's 3 grams. Well, there's no way it's going to have what the clinical dosage of beta-alanine is, which is, in the research I did, it's 4 to 6, but you'll also see that it's even down to 3.2. You could eventually get some results. It goes into a whole other spiel I could talk about in a minute on it, but because they may only have a gram of carnosine beta-alanine in that 3 grams, we don't know because they don't have to list the amount per ingredient. But because it's got only 1 gram, I'm just throwing a number off the top of my head, they can slap it on the label that we have carnosine beta-alanine, and people are like, oh, wow, cool. I've heard of that. Let me get it, and I'm going to use it. All right. Even though, like I said, this goes into a whole other spiel where beta-alanine has to be, you have to saturate your body with it. If you go buy a pre-workout and you've never taken beta-alanine before, you're not going to get any results with it. All right. You have to saturate over time. And I believe, More Plates, More Dates. Shout out to More Plates, More Dates. It's a great, great YouTube channel. I believe it's a podcast as well. I subscribe to it on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description. Great show that Derek, that dude is like a walking encyclopedia of all the supplement stuff and performance enhancing stuff. That dude's really, really smart. I think he said it was 179 grams that you have to saturate your body. Well, if you buy a pre-workout in the performance enhancing blend or Prop blend has 1 gram of beta-alanine in it, you got to take that stuff for 179 days or 179 times in order to get the results that you're looking for from beta-alanine. So it's not an instantaneous boost. Supplement companies will use it because beta-alanine can give you the paresthesia if you take too much of it. It gives you the tingly feelings. It's something people can feel. They think it's working. No different than caffeine. They'll put a boatload of caffeine in it because caffeine gives you almost instantaneous results. You feel high. You feel euphoric. You want to go destroy the gym. You have a feeling with it. You're connecting the feeling of that euphoria, the dopamine, that euphoria with the products. You're saying, this product must work. Even though it's just the caffeine. You could have drank a couple cups of coffee, and gotten the same friggin' feeling. So, one thing I failed to mention on Prop Blends. One second. Now, I did an Instagram story. It was actually a very long story. I probably should have done a post on it instead of a story. I was testing out doing my story skills on basically how to kind of, in general, find out how much of an ingredient is in the linear Prop blend. There's really no way to tell, again, unless you get it like lab tested or something. But just know that, I have 5 ingredients listed here within the little ellipses or whatever to show that it could be additional ingredients. The very first ingredient in that linear list is the most prevalent ingredient in that blend. So if it's like a 5-gram blend, and like this, it's L-arginine is the first one, then there's going to be more L-arginine in that blend than any other ingredient in that list. So it's listed in, I guess it would be descending order. So greatest, second greatest, third greatest, all the way down to the least amount. The last ingredient has the smallest amount by weight in that Prop blend. I think I covered most of everything. I probably forgot to mention something because, again, my mind was going 800 directions, especially in the summary. Because, again, if you're a small company, I understand. If you're just trying to get your foot in the door, you don't have tons of money to get started, seed capital, whatever, and you're just trying to nudge your foot into the door of the gigantic super Walmart that is the supplement company or supplement industry, and you have to use a proprietary blend, even though it doesn't have the clinical dosage of the ingredients, but your goal is, hey, I want to make sales with this, use the money to eventually make better products to actually have ingredients that are clinically dosed and everything. I understand. I have no problem with that at all. You're just trying to make a better product and you're limited. You're dealing with the limitations that you have. Same here. I'm in the same boat. However, I do have a problem in addition with the pixie dusting and all this stuff by large companies. And that's basically, I just said it right there. By these, there's some companies, supplement companies that are, multinational, making 8, 9 or more figures per year, and they're using these Prop blends with underdosed ingredients. to me, there's no excuse for a supplement manufacturer or for a supplement company that size that has that much available resources to make a product with a proprietary blend that doesn't have the proper dosages. You can use a proprietary blend, and a proprietary blend can have proper dosages. It may be a pretty big blend in terms of weight, but it's possible. But if you're having, if you're having like a 3-gram proprietary blend, and then you put like creatine in it, which I think usually it's around 5 grams. I think Derek did an episode on what the dosage is, but usually say like 5 grams. Why not just put 5 grams in it? Why not make the proprietary blend bigger? If you're having like 1 gram of creatine, what's that really going to do? And then if people want to get the 5 grams, they got to take 3 scoops or so of your pre-workout every day. Well, now the pre-workout that they spent $25 on because they got it, on the cheap because they may not have a lot of money. And now they got to take 3 servings of it. Now it only lasts 10 days. So to get through a month, now they got to spend $75 on your underdosed pre-workout. Again, if it's from a company that doesn't have all those resources, I understand you're just trying to get started. But it's from these huge companies. It's like, there's no excuse for that. And it's really, to me, it's just profit over the product. And I don't think that's right. I'm not going to call any names because there's plenty of large companies that do really good. I think Bear Performance Nutrition, I think they make great products. Yeah. There's other ones that make a shit ton of money and they may not even be multinational. And, it's like, really? You make all this money, but yet you're not putting it back in the product. You're putting it into making like these really awesome labels and stuff. And it's like, why don't you work on the product and then put the nice label on it? If you have the resources, put it back into the product. That's all I'm saying. Beyond the label, I think is what it's going to call it. Beyond the label. So that's it. My rant is over. Let me make sure I got everything covered. Yeah. I think I pretty much covered everything. So, Howard out. I want to thank you for listening to this episode of Howard's Blend. If you enjoyed the show, you find value in it, I ask 2 things. 1, that you share the show or the particular episode with anybody you think might benefit from it. Spread the knowledge, spread the love of Howard's Blend. 2, and this is only if you are able to, if you have the ability and you have the resources, on my website, www.howardsblend.com, just like the podcast, in addition to having Howard's Blend plant-based protein powder available, the SMB Nutrition shirts available, and the Your Nexus is Texas shirt available, there is a tab to donate. You can donate however much or however little you can afford, only if you can afford to donate. You don't have to. I don't think any different of anybody that doesn't donate. Only if you're able to, it would be greatly appreciated. That goes into possibly upgrading equipment for the podcast. If something happens to the microphone, get a new microphone, whatever, getting new equipment, maybe getting some sound deadening, maybe even putting a green screen eventually up here so then I can have funky graphics or whatever back here instead of just looking at the closet, whatever. It goes into making better products. I think Howard's Blend plant-based protein powder is wonderful, but it can always be better. There's always room for improvement. Expanding the product line, all that fun stuff. Only if you can. Okay, if you have any questions, comments, cheers, jeers, my contact information as well as where you can find me on social media is in the description of the show. That's it, folks. I cannot think of anything else. Boy, this episode was a lot longer than I expected. 55 minutes. And then do my Gilbert Godfrey impression. 55 cents, 55 minutes. All right, that's it. Enough for today. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, I'm going to go have more pre-workout. Adios.